All right, we are right at 6:30, so I'll call tonight's workshop to order. And Julian, do you just want to note roll for the record?
Will do.
Perfect. And I'd invite everyone to rise and join us for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we are going to start tonight's workshop with our standard open forum. Open forum is any interested party's opportunity to address council on any topic of your choosing, tonight's agenda or otherwise. If you were signed up, great. If you weren't signed up and still would like to speak, once we're through the list, I'll provide an opportunity for you to rise. Thank you. Jeff Klein.
Are you just standing where special or just sit here?
Could you just maybe stand where you are? That's
Where
fine.
I am? Okay,
We don't have an open forum podium.
that's good, that seems too formal. How y'all doing? This golf cart, ATV thing, can go either way, and I don't really have an opinion other than I just wanna make sure you guys do it right. For the simple reason that you're gonna have opinions on both sides, like every issue in the world, but, like around my house, like if I'm sitting out reading a book, you got people, cause I live at the end of the cul-de-sac, people always ripping down the streets, using my cul-de-sac to turn around, go back and forth, but it's like, it's whatever. But it's probably not even legal, but once you make it legal, then you might really amplify it. And then I would just suggest you separate golf carts versus the ATVs, because they're two vastly different things. If someone's coming down my road in a silent electric golf cart at 10 miles an hour with the governor on, it's a lot different than wheelies on four-wheelers and whatnot. So I was thinking of Clear Lake, every year, I think you're familiar with Clear Lake, Iowa, Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, nice music guy, American Pie and all that. So every year I at least go down there once to the surf ballroom for a concert with my daughter, so it's like retro, these 60s and 70s music, but in a venue built in 1948. But the town is so unique, and it reminds me of this place, except they have like concerts and things like we used to have 30, 40 years ago at Trout Air when it was more of a concert venue. But anyway, if I get off topic, you should bring it back. But they have what's known as like the surf district, which is where the ballroom is, and they also have like the lake district and the downtown district. So they do different things in different areas. In fact, when you go to the downtown district, there's a rental place where you can rent a golf cart by the hour or by the day. People whip around, go antiquing, and go down, rent a kayak on Clear Lake and whatever, and it's pretty cool. So there's a lot of potential there. And then on the family farm that some of you may know I have or whatever, I got four-wheelers there and whatnot. We take those into the local jamboree and hootenanny or whatever until bar close or whatever you leave, but it's population like 100 people, nobody cares, it's how they do things. But if you make everything here just outright legal, you'll have people leaving Applebee's at 1 a.m. whipping through the neighborhoods and ATVs and stuff. So another thing Iowa has, they have a sunrise to sunset. You almost want to also reverse it, like maybe have golf carts downtown, but let ATVs be out in the more rural areas. So I would just separate the two. It's kind of was my main point, because I think if you lump a golf cart together with a four-wheeler, it's two different crowds, even though I'm the crowd on both of them, depending on the day. It's like, as any of you know me, it's like I have a Volkswagen Beetle, but I also have a four-wheel drive truck, so depending on how I dress or where I show up, that's usually people's opinion of me, so. Yeah, that's about it. So I don't know if I ramble or whatever, I'm just saying maybe separate the two. Think through the districts.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wanted to speak on this topic this evening? Please, could I just have you rise and state your name for the record?
My
And
name
address,
is
please.
Miriam Holland, and I work for Amira Choice Senior Living. And we just bought, or we've had a golf cart, a six-seater, and it's battery operated, and we just got a license for it. And we're hoping to use it with our seniors, and we'd like to be able to take them to the park on Tuesdays. I agree with most of what everything says. It would be nice to be able to use it and at least have some rules and regulations that we could comply to be able to cross the busy street and take them to the park. And just take some of the memory care to them around the, path, but you might have to cross some of the streets. I did kind of look up to see what other cities are doing this and what they're doing, and Rochester's looking into it right now too. There's other cities in Minnesota that are working on it, and you just have to have things put in place, I think, rules and regs. And the same thing I saw was a time slot of morning to evening, those kinds of things. So I think if we do it with parameters, I think it could be doable, but like anything, you've got to have a license. And then I saw in Florida, they were having kids that were falling off of them and getting in accidents, so making sure you're at least 16 years old to be driving one, having a license, things like that. So I hope that, we just got our license and I hope we can use it, so.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this topic? Please. Could I be
Well,
start
I
with your
have
name and address for the record though?
What's that?
Could I be start with your name and address for the record?
So, I live in Wyoming.
That's fine.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Jeremy James, 25157 Firefly Avenue.
Thank you.
So I have a UTV, and there are back roads from my house. I live about a mile and a half north of here, across from Maranatha, that I can take to get down to Forest Lake and get on the side streets. And then potentially cross the street, across 61 and hit the lake, which would be the most convenient thing in the wintertime. And even to go to different businesses around, it's kind of neat, let's take the UTV instead of the car. And obviously I agree that you should have a driver's license, because you're gonna be on the city street, so I don't know how you can, I don't know if a permit, an adult counts on that, but, I'm for it. I think if you have kids that are ripping around up and down your street that shouldn't be, that's gonna be either way, whether it's legal or not. But I know there's a lot of my neighbors that have golf carts, I have both, and my neighborhood is full of UTVs as well, and ATVs. So, in Wyoming, in our little circle there, we use them all the time. Yeah, honest with you, no one's ever said anything to us about it. So, I guess I'm for it, and no matter what you do, there's gonna be irresponsible people in cars. But I really wish this, I hope this goes through.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to add,
Could
Yeah,
I
I was-
start with your name and address for the record though?
Scott Waters, 24405 Fallbrook Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
I know I stated I was here at the first one. Chisago County is wide open, except 8, 95, 61 from 240th to the Cornerstone. From the Cornerstone to Pine City, it's county road. You can run County Road 30 at posted speed on the shoulder. So, it is open, Chisago County, I don't know how many years it's been open. I know he was retired, I gave somebody Ron's number from Chisago County. He's the rec officer or deputy. I don't know if anyone called him just to get some insight from the county up there. But yeah, we run them all over, it's, I guess, just an alternative mode of transportation.
Thank you. We'll, open to providing some opportunity for feedback as we go here. So let's get into council discussion, and then if there's an opportunity for some follow-up Q&A from open forum, I'm happy to take those at this time. Should we get into it? Chief Peterson, you
Sure.
want to walk us through prepared
Yeah,
materials?
Mayor and City Council members, good evening. So yeah, this is going to be the discussion tonight, bringing back the idea of potentially legalizing golf carts on our city streets and UTVs. As you know, last February, most of you were here, we had initial discussions and we talked about pros, cons, advantages, disadvantages, challenges, and some of those things that were brought up was, you know, you have less larger vehicles out in the streets, less noise with golf carts, like as was mentioned. Also eco-friendly. It gives another option for citizens to get from point A to point B, to golf courses, to restaurants, to the lake, parks, etc. Some of the disadvantages that were brought up at that time was potentially noise with UTVs. Also, what else was brought up? Noise, that was also, I'm sorry, noise was the issue, safety and speed. Speed was the other one. And after that meeting, council gave staff the direction to reach out to other cities that are similar in size, which I did. I reached out to, I think it was like 12 or 14 of them, mostly in the metro, somewhere outside in the more rural. And some of those that reached out to me, one was Stillwater, Prior Lake, and Ramsey, and they're very similar in size. And I feel they're you know, about the same distance away from the metro. And all three of them have both golf cart ordinance and a all-terrain vehicle or UTV ordinance allowing their use. Some other cities only had golf cart ordinances and others actually only had UTV ordinances. So what I did is I compiled in the packet here for you Minnesota State Statute, our two city ordinances. The one is special use permit, and that's for disabled people. And then all-terrain vehicle one, which is stating that it's in violation, you aren't able to drive on city streets. League of Minnesota Cities model ordinance, City of Forest Lake street map, and then those three ordinances for your to look at and review. And also comparable size cities spreadsheet, and I had a couple of notes on there for you as well. So my hope from this workshop is to get some direction from you all. Do we want to move forward and maybe look at an ordinance? Is this something that you would like to do? Or is this something that you are decide at the end of the day here that you're against? Or do you want more research done? So with that, I will turn it over to you. And I did, you know, look at quite a few ordinances. I have to admit, in February, I was very hesitant and a little nervous about this. In doing my research, I was somewhat surprised that other cities, chiefs, the command level and staff said that they really don't see too many issues and too many concerns, and when they actually passed an ordinance, they really didn't see a major increase in golf carts or ATV. So that was just from them. Didn't speak to any mayor, city council members, or city administrators, but that was straight from the law enforcement, which I was somewhat surprised. So it kind of put my mind at ease. You know, there would be a permitting process. You know, it would take staff time to do those things. And anyways, I just want to let you know that. And since our last workshop, I received 2 emails that citizens were concerned about that idea and were actually against it. And no emails saying for it, but I have run into quite a few citizens at different areas and, you know, in town, and said they heard about it and were either really for it or kind of like how Jeff Klein was, kind of on the fence there. Could go either way. So with that, I'll turn it over to you and answer any questions you might have for me.
Chief, before we start our discussion, what do we have today for level of complaints or violations? Like, what is our activity level today with our current?
I don't know the exact number, but I would say, honestly, far and few between. We definitely get more complaints on speed in vehicles than we do with ATVs or UTVs. But it's also not legal, so we don't really get that many complaints, but once in a while we do. And what it is, it's usually younger kids actually, or juvenile that will be riding, you know, those smaller four-wheelers but not golf carts.
And I don't have them, I can pull up on my laptop, but I'm not recalling off the top of my head. If the model, League of Minnesota Cities model ordinance, did that include a suggested age limit?
I'd have to look at it, I have it all printed off here.
See that it did? I thought that was interesting.
I think it was only the last one, Fire Lake was the last one in the packet, they specifically called out age 18 and above
18 and above.
for operators,
Right.
except for Snowfield, if they had like a permit.
Yeah, right.
But the other cities, I didn't even see it, a better age.
Yeah, and they have the hours of, sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Hours of operation, 8 AM to 10 PM.
That's in
because I
the
know that
league?
was
Is that
discussed.
in the league?
Yeah,
Okay.
That is the ages, I didn't see the age.
yeah, I don't recall seeing age.
10 or 12-year-olds.
10 PM seems like, I'm jumping us into.
Well, a lot of it was sunrise to sunset.
Sunset.
That
yeah.
was what my gut was of, although 5:30 AM to do an ATV is very aggressive, but it may also not be the time to ride an ATV, so it may not even, it may be a not.
Those that would are still sleeping.
Huh?
So those that would are still sleeping.
Yeah, that was my thought. I think sunrise is more, or sunset is more of the boundary to.
Yeah, so in the League of Minnesota Cities, it states all terrain vehicles and passengers, no person under 18 years of age shall operate a Class 1 all-terrain vehicle while carrying a passenger. Person 18 years of age or older may operate a Class 1 all-terrain vehicle carrying one passenger. So that's where they're touching on it. And then no person under 18 years of age shall operate a Class 2 all-terrain vehicle while carrying a passenger. Yeah, so there's a few helmet and seatbelts required. Street crossings, no person under 12 years of age operating vehicles regulated herein shall make a direct crossing of any street, highway, public right of way, etc.
Thank you, Chief. Should we just open it up with either follow-up questions or thoughts? Maybe, or if we want to take this topic by topic, or if we want to just maybe give some overall initial thoughts.
I will just add too, on one of the league's recent listservs about golf carts, the question about age came up, and most of the responses were that folks had to have a driver's license, so 12 to 16. So,
And that was,
Chief's point, there was recently a lot of conversation about this in other communities.
and was that specifically to golf carts or?
Yes.
Anyone want to start with some thoughts or just picked up?
Well, I wasn't here for the initial discussion in February, but I mean, I've read through this whole packet, you know, I mean, cities, like, you know, Fire Lake, Stillwater, many others are embracing it. I think it would make a lot of sense to do the same, but, you know, make the right policy for our community.
But overall favorable.
Generally, the feedback I've been getting has been pretty positive. The question that has come up a couple of times is, especially with UTVs, is noise.
Noise.
They make more noise when they're on tires or whatever it is, but, and then they go a lot faster. So how do we control that? And then Rick, what would we do with that ordinance? Would be kind of like two separate ordinances, or how would we do that?
The ones that I've looked at look like they're separate. They kind of cover the same things, but they're separate.
They would almost have to be, I would think.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's been a pretty favorable comments I've had. As far as that part is concerned, then the other question I had is whether or not, or that was given, is whether or not it would add to your job. You know, is that going to be an issue with trying to police it, you know? So.
Yeah, like I said, some of the other agencies that I talked to, or cities, the police departments, they said it wasn't, the majority said that it wasn't a major issue.
There you go. So.
You know, but yeah, that was one of my concerns back in February, definitely, was, you know, how many people are gonna be driving, you know, ATVs or UTVs and or golf carts, and, you know, noise. I thought about that one. It's like, well, we have snowmobiles that are quite loud, that are allowed to ride on our trails and such. And then you've got, motorcycles, cars, there's, those types of things are out there. And a lot of times, unless we see something, it's complaint driven. And so we'll, look into those and see if we find somebody who's in violation and deal with it accordingly.
Memento, any thoughts?
Just like in February, I'm favorable to it. I mean, like we've seen, I think there's safety concerns and noise concerns, and I think we can, throughout this process, we're just in the preliminary stages, so I think as we keep going through this and having a discussion and listening to people, I think we can get to something that's reasonable.
Councilmember Roberts?
Yeah, I agree. I was in favor of work back in February. I know that you and Captain Weiss had some concerns, but I'm glad to hear that that's somewhat resolved and your comfort level, because that for me is the biggest thing. If you thought it would be an extra stress in the department or the danger part, I would be less favorable for it, but if that's not the case, and obviously we know we're gonna have some problems, they're gonna pop up, but we have that with anything. I mean, there are guys ripping down on these big skateboards down the trail going like 30 miles an hour that are electric that I can't, but they're wearing helmets. It's like, so we're gonna have that no matter what. I think if we do this correctly, we put some guidelines in there, it'll be good for the city and the residents.
Yeah, I too am overall favorable. I think it's going to be, I think it's important for us to set some hours of limitation. I also fear the 1 o'clock in the morning leaving an establishment. To me, that's just not the time to be getting on a UTV or an ATV. And I worry about the interaction with traffic, and so any time after dark just seems to be challenging. So daytime hours, certainly a licensed driver. I started when I was just kind of jotting out what I found to be important. I started with 18 and over. It makes me nervous to have kids on ATVs on city streets. Like that combination, there's just a lot of potential things that could go wrong. But that said, there's already some use that's already happening today, and so maybe with some education and some, parameters on this is what riding safely looks like. Maybe I could be convinced to go to 16 and over. City licensing is, I think, critical of the vehicle, showing proof of insurance. I think that those are things that we need to do.
So Mayor, on that, sorry,
Yeah.
but I was just noticing in some of these examples that the chief pulled, they allowed for 3-year permits rather than annual ones. Would council be open to that? That would certainly reduce the added work on our city clerk.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. I thought about that too.
I'm okay with that, but I do think our ordinance should have revocation provisions, like if you are in violation, that there's a process for it to be revoked.
I noticed one of them had an appeals process to the city council for that revocation.
Yeah.
Would include that.
I did give some thought to zones. What's challenging for us is that I think unlike the Clear Lake example where you have some distinct uses, we have that a bit in Forest Lake, but there's, it's not like we have the lake zone in the downtown zone. There's multiple lakes and there's some of our more rural sections. I think we would be challenging to have, it just creates some confusion over what's allowed where. So we see the wisdom in some communities of doing that, but I think for us, we need something that's just a blanket citywide. Keep it simple so that it's just understood and easy to be educated around.
These ordinances that you've seen, Rick, they include like turn signals and that kind of stuff, is that an issue at all?
Yeah, there are some that are, that state they need to have that, or it needs to be, have the, like you said, turn signals, headlights, brake lights.
Okay.
And some of that is also, yeah, so.
And seatbelts, like,
Some reference if it came with the manufacturer installed. I mean, certainly there's some that don't have that.
Yeah,
Are we looking to approve all of them or just the new ones? have that installed.
I was just wondering what other cities are doing. Yeah, that's the key thing.
Who is that? I mean, I think one of them that showed that if they came installed, then we're expecting to stay installed.
Yeah, there's definitely some manufacturers out there that I looked at on their websites, and they actually state, street legal and all the equipment that they have included in them. But it also reverts back to every state is a little different, look at your state laws and so. But yeah, there are definitely some UTVs and even golf carts out there that are equipped with everything a vehicle pretty much has.
My concern on seatbelts is, it makes sense on a side-by-side, they're standard on many of those models, but if we are considering a broader ATV ordinance, it's not included. I'm also, I'm just concerned it gives a perception of safety that just isn't there. We're talking about an open vehicle that is in traffic with cars. A seatbelt is a nice to have, but highly ineffective given the risk. And so if that's really what we're concerned about, we should probably not be, if that's.
If it doesn't have it, like you said, if the UTV has it, they should be wearing it, but I have no seatbelt on my motorcycle.
That is correct, right?
It's crazy, I'm sitting on a skateboard,
That is
wearing
correct,
a helmet, no seatbelt.
right. And we don't have is it true, we still don't have I was thinking about helmets as well, but we don't have a helmet law on motorcycles in Minnesota still, correct?
State mandated,
It is state mandated?
under 18, yeah.
Under 18, yeah.
Or permanent.
But over 18, it's not required. I just don't, when I see golf carts, I just don't think of somebody putting on a helmet for golf carts. I just don't think it's practical. I think it's part of the public risk that those who are participating, that is the risk they're taking.
Golf cart speed is a lot slower, but I get it if a car were to hit them. But the speed of a car is like 15, 20.
And it's already DNR law that you have to have your lights on in your UTV while operating it.
Yeah.
And also the, one thing I'd be concerned about is the sunset law would be, in the wintertime, you gotta be home by like 3:30.
That is true.
I mean, you can't go ice fishing in that, it's dark at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
That would, I understand you want the limit, but snowmobiles don't. I could drive my snowmobile all night.
You're right.
I think one of those that I reviewed said that if it came with installed lights, brake lights, whatever, they were let it operate after dark. Or after sunset, I should say.
Did cities have, where they did have hours of operation, was it generally at 10 p.m. they were allowed into some evening hours?
I didn't look at every single one, but every one did have a stipulation in regards to whether it be sunrise to sunset or certain times.
That is month of
Or at least
December,
the
that
ones
means
that I-
you're off the lake by 4:30, and to your point, snowmobiles are allowed, so.
But your snowmobiles aren't driving down the side of they're not on your roadway, right? I mean, I think that's maybe where you have a difference, right? Like they're on snowmobile trails that are separated from cars and other vehicles. It looks like there's a lot of safety things in here too, the slow moving emblem on golf carts and stuff. For the next draft, should we just pull all the safety stuff out and put it in there, and then you guys can kind of go through and see what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of? Maybe that's a way to make sure we don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Include it all and we compare it back.
Right.
Yeah, the sunset, I would agree, the sunset that seemed a little restrictive. Maybe a happy medium is if it is after sunset, then you do have to have blinkers and light, that. Turn signals.
And we could still put like a cap of the time, like the
Yeah.
10 a.m., like the League of Minnesota Cities do.
I'm not opposed to time that's, because you don't.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
You said 10 a.m., 10 p.m. as well, or something that's something,
Interrupt.
I-
Similar to how you can't park on city streets certain months, you could have different times and different
Mm-hmm.
stages of the year. Not get all complicated. Confuse people more, but
So, count on different time constraints based on vehicle.
Oh, type of vehicle.
Yeah, like no snowmobile traffic between 1 AM and 8 AM. The golf carts are saying half hour before, half hour after sunset. You know, so they're just, specific to the type of vehicle.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It also keeps, it follows the use in it, different safety considerations for each way.
Would they, how would we handle the trail? I mean, that would be Washington County decision, I wouldn't allow it, I would suggest, or I would guess. They would not, right?
Yeah, they would not.
Yeah, this is just for
Yep.
city roads, I don't think we even considered that you'd want this on city trails, honestly.
That is an important distinction. So, so it's city roads, not city trails? Is that right?
That was the assumption I think we were operating under, so I brought that up, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, the reason I bring up that trail is because in the winter, there is a snowmobile, on the side, but I know sleds, they don't want, they usually don't allow it to tear up the trail, the snowmobile trail, so.
Maybe that base.
Yeah, I think the ordinance should include, expressly prohibited from sidewalks and city trails. I just worry about pedestrian interaction.
So we've been talking about golf carts and UTVs, but are we gonna follow suit with Prior Lake and have a section related to snowmobiles then?
So we have a
Sometimes we don't,
snowmobile,
yeah.
we have a snowmobile ordinance today, is that right, Chief?
Yeah.
When this comes back, could we just look at that as well, just to make sure it makes sense in context? Is that?
Yes.
Anything else jump out at anyone or points of discussion? Christina, Julian, Chief, anything else where maybe a little bite on feedback?
I don't think so, I mean, I think this is good, now we can start actually drafting an ordinance and then we can see and respond just to the language that's proposed, so.
Before we close out discussion on this, any other comments from our audience today?
I had a few things, I just been taking some notes off my phone. I know as Chief said, I don't think you're gonna see a flood of usage. You might, a few things right away, but I don't think it's gonna be, hey, we can ride, everyone's going out and riding. For the blinker part of it, it's on a motorcycle, you don't have to have blinkers, it's hand signals. When we run the roads, we do run hand signals. If it's equipped with it, obviously you'd be using it. I think it should be noted, should have mirror, at least a side mirror or rear view on an ATV or even a golf cart. I don't know, to me a mirror so you can see what's behind you. I just think it's a good idea. Mirrors, if they're cheap, you can, for the speed limit, a lot of areas that we run, they run the posted, some have had below posted. It kind of becomes on the UTV part of it. If it's a busy road, kind of backs up traffic, or you gotta try to pass them. Most of the city streets are 30, 35. Would probably be adequate. To me, it's more safe just keeping it posted instead of this guy's going 15 and it becomes a hand, like on the freeway.
Much for the map up on North Shore,
Yeah.
that'll take care of your speed problems.
And for the noise, the slower usually the machines go, the higher they rev. Once they get shifted out a little bit, the RPMs, the noise relaxes. It's not, I know some people can put loud mufflers and whatnot on. To me, it's no different. A lot of Harleys, they don't even run mufflers, it's just a straight pipe. And to me, it's similar, but I think you'll see a lot less UTV action compared to a Harley buzzing around town all the time. But they are louder at lower RPMs because they rev higher until they start shifting to bring the RPM down. That's all I really got.
Anyone else with anything? Dwayne?
I think, and I don't know because I don't have it memorized, but I think the Minnesota seatbelt statute, or
it states you have to have headlights on your vehicle if you're on a city road. Like if you're on Hardwood Creek Trail, that's a whole different jurisdiction than driving down Broadway Avenue. So like if I had a 1909 Model T or something, didn't have headlights, I can't just be buzzing around town at midnight, so I don't think we could, figure that out with your timing.
Times.
Yeah, sunrise to sunset, that's open interpretation. When Chief Peterson pulls someone over at sunset, I can see a little bit over the horizon, and then you have to sit and deal with that. So you should probably have solid times. I just think Clear Lake, they're a little more casual and less combative by nature than Forest Lake residents, and I am one, so I'm not. But I think it's just, I don't know, everything just seems to flow a little smoother there, and I suppose if I lived there full time, maybe I wouldn't think that, but. It's like me here, it's like, I'm all for the ordinance, and just make sure you throw in the stipulations and get people who aren't for it, showing that you gave it some thought and just rubber stamp something, which since I know all five of you, you don't generally do that anyway, but with past history of this city, then it's not always what's in people's minds. Again, I'm Catholic, so just make sure you refer to the seatbelt law and the lights on the actual Minnesota statute.
All right,
Thank you for considering it.
yeah, thank you for being here. Should we move on to future work session topics?
Sure, so mayor and council, I sent out the list last Friday. And as I mentioned, staff is really busy right now with budget and a lot of other things going on, but as we had promised you earlier this year, we wanted to at least keep you informed of all the things that were happening. Just know that there's a lot of activity just with the daily operations of the city this time of year, as I'm sure that both Jolene and Chief Peterson can attest to. So you may not see things on agendas like tonight where there's just one, but it's not that we've got a lot of extra time. And I will warn you that next week you should probably pack snacks in a blanket because you'll be here a long time. So you'll pay for all these short meetings. So with that said, is there any feedback on the list?
Any feedback? Thoughts? I appreciate it exists, and look at the list and, see, I see we're making progress on the things we should be making progress on, and understand also the just limitations of budget season, and I, for my mind, needs to continue to be top priority. So I wouldn't have any changes proposed. Anyone else have any changes or thoughts? Prepare for our long meeting next Tuesday. Remember, it's also Tuesday, 7 o'clock, off cycle because of the change of voting. Okay. That is the end of our planned agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.